I'm Vinnie Jones and this is my show. If you like football, you're in the right place. Don't go away. Look at tonight's lineup.
Can you see Oldham being a Premiership club in your lifetime again?
Sometimes they're better off going down, especially from the Premier into the first, start again and come back stronger.
Veteran, you become a veteran at 32, I'm told.
All businesses are reasonably hard to run, but Birmingham City was in a particularly bad shape when we took over. It was on the verge of collapse, it was in liquidation.
Saying, well, if something happened to Nicky, we'd have a problem.
4 years ago, Oldham-Athletic were in the Premier League and in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Today they're in the second division, and as each game goes on, their hopes of making the playoffs diminish. Guys, what's happened?
Well, in them days we had good players, now we've got a bunch of useless prats. That's the basic difference.
But what happened to the good players? Why did they disappear?
They went. I mean, successful was success, doesn't it? I don't know. As regards to support, Oldham, we can handle it. We can handle all this. We've had shocks. When you're little, when you're small, and I'm talking back in the 60s when we were in the 4th division, and you're watching them, the cup final, and you never dream that they're there, the West Hams at the time, you know, Bobby Moore or what have you, and you never dream you're going to be there, a youngster.
Yeah.
And we got there. We got there twice. We got to Wembley twice.
Yeah.
That dream's realised, and that's the thing about the small clubs. Some of the large clubs, the ones who are struggling in the Premier League, you know, they're sweating, they're going to lose it all. They don't know what it's like to struggle and kick around in the 4th division and scramble out of that. And we're scrambling now, and we'll get out of it again. That's what I think.
I mean, can you see Oldham being a Premiership club in your lifetime again?
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Because I think we offered a lot. We offered a lot to the Premier League, just like Barnsley are doing now.
Yeah.
You know, there's that mystique, there's that dream. It's still being kept alive. It's to build the Premier League, never kill it off.
You've got to have that.
I mean, we've been to
You're living it, aren't you?
We're living it as county supporters. We're living it. We've been to Wembley 4 times now. If you'd have asked a county fan 10 years ago and woke him up and said you've been to Wembley 4 times in 12 months, you'd have thought he was a bit crazy. But in less than a decade, we're one step away from this so-called Premiership now.
You've ended up losing some of your players, haven't you?
Well,
you know.
This is it. But you see, when Crewe sell a player, it's this academy thing. It's great, but when Stockport or Oldham sell a player, it's a big outcry. Well, why is this? It doesn't matter. You sell a great player, then you'll get another one in. We sold Chrissy Marsden. There was an outcry. We got Chrissy Byrne and Paul Cook. We got 2 players who are better, and still 50 grand behind. They all said, "Oh, you've sold Armstrong." Well, so what? We've still got Brett Angel. And Megson will wait until he signs the right man.
He's waiting for the money he wants.
Yeah, we can live with that. It's not a problem to us because this is success, you know. If you'd been there in the 70s and 80s, you know, it's like another world. It really is.
Your opening question was, well, what's happened to all the players? Well, for the small town clubs like Oldham and Stockport, if they get there, even when you've made it to the Premier League, or the 1st division as it was when we first got there, you know you're still going to lose your best players because our record signing, even when we're at our peak, was about 750,000 here only from Aston Villa, and we were still selling players. Earl Barrett went to Aston Villa for about 2 million, and we no matter how successful you seem to be on the pitch, the money's never going to be there to the extent that it is with the big
because you're going to have to sell the players
and
to make the money.
To sell players. And then as we start, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're in a downward spiral.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get off it soon.
I think it's been
unfortunately
held a bit. I think that spiral's just been cut a bit.
Well, that's it. I mean,
we could go further down.
5 weeks ago, we were 3rd in the league, and you thought, well, maybe we'll stop the spiral and we'll get back to the 1st division at the first attempt. But you can't think that tonight, can you?
It all boils down to money, basically. The basic problem is that Oldham has got a population of about 250,000. Manchester's got a population of about 1.5 million, whatever. And most Oldhamers support United, City or whatever. And when we're down at the bottom, more people are going to go and watch the big clubs for the success.
What are your average home gates this season?
About 5,500.
And what were you getting when you were in the Premier?
12,000.
Yeah, about 12,000.
Which isn't a lot, is it?
You know, you say you're on a downward spiral. Well, you've got to remember the good times. A real downward spiral now is Doncaster Rovers. Now, I remember in the 60s when we won the championship in the 60s, the season before, Doncaster Rovers won it, and they got a gate of 24,000 on a Monday night. And look what's happened to them now. Now, that could have been Oldham or County or Bury. You've got to be thankful for that. You have to.
I think it's been held. I think the spiral has been trapped.
And no matter how bad things get, don't get me wrong, I'd never swap the achievements of getting to Wembley, standing on Wembley.
Well, you wouldn't.
You see. Being in the Premier League, beating Man United at home, I wouldn't swap them feelings for anything, no matter what happens to the club.
You're all fed up. Really. You used the term, wasn't it, the pinch me season? You know, it was all extending this dream, keeping it, keeping the dream alive.
Keeping the dream alive, yeah. It's always got to be there. I think
you talk about loyalty. I keep hearing this thing about Main Road. They've got this 28,000 loyal fans. That's not loyalty. Loyalty is 20 of you or us at Colchester on a Monday night.
Yes.
Exactly.
If they drop, they're in the worst, or they were in the worst position in their history. Now, if they dropped into the second division,
they won't drop. The establishments will step in. Don't worry about that.
I think they've probably got enough players to stay up as well.
The establishment,
the potential for disaster for City was there, wasn't it?
The last 4 games
It's also
of the
they've got
season,
enough money.
the establishments will step in, like it did with Burnley.
What do you mean by that?
When the first time that the bottom side in the 4th division was going out, Burnley was bottom. They even wrote to the Football League and said, "You can't kick us out. We're a great club."
That's right. They saved it with a victory.
And but they changed the rules twice to try and keep Burnley in.
But I don't quite see how they would be able to change them in from
the man in black will do it. The man in black will do it.
Do you honestly believe that football is that corrupt in this country?
Of course it is. I tell you what, all right, let's get on to this referee thing. Whenever there's a dodgy game, you can perm any one from 4 referees. Now, I work with a referee, used to and he come in the morning after the Newcastle Stevenage replay and he said, "Did you see that last night?" I said, "No, I didn't see it. What was the score?" He said, "Well, Newcastle won 2-1. I said, "Well, I tell you what, was there a dodgy goal in it?" He said, "Well, there was really." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you now, anyone from 4 reffed it, either Ellery, Willard, Bodenham or Jones." He said, "Oh, it was Jones." Whenever there's a dodgy game, one of those 4 will ref it. Right.
First
Now
division,
that is
second.
a fact.
First division, second, and third. Why haven't we got enough referees that they can all be of the same standard and they can be permeated throughout?
I'll tell you,
Do you think
nationwide league?
Listen, we're going to continue this discussion about referees in the second half of this programme. We'll be back for that then.
Right.
the journeyman striker who played everywhere from Luton Town to Sheffield Wednesday via Everton and Manchester City, to name but a few of his clubs. Today he's the assistant manager at Stalybridge Celtic. I'm with Imre Varadi. Imre, where did your career start?
Well, I'm from Luton, down in Bedfordshire, and when I was 15, I went on trials there twice a week at Luton, and I was there for about 2 years, and I didn't really get a chance to get an apprenticeship there. So Harry Haslam unfortunately got sacked, I think, from Luton and went to Sheffield United, and it was a phone call out of the blue saying, come up here and see how things go.
Do you think that, today with the Bosman ruling and the new signing on fees and everything, how do you feel about that? I mean, you could have made an awful lot of money, couldn't you?
Well, obviously money is important to a footballer because it's a short career. Yeah. And obviously nowadays with Sky TV and everything, it's got huge. Obviously in my day it was a little bit different. We could move with freedom of contract, but there wasn't a Bosman ruling, obviously. But I just felt 2 years as a striker was
long enough
better for me. Yeah, better for me, and it gave me the choice if I wanted to move around.
Which was your favourite time?
I had a lot of good times, obviously with a lot of clubs. I had about 10 clubs until I retired.
You played with a lot of top people as well,
yes,
didn't you?
I started off at Sheffield United, like I said. I went to Everton, which I really enjoyed. I spent a few seasons there, learning my trade. And then I moved to Newcastle, and I think that's where it really started for me at Newcastle, when Arthur Cox was the manager. And I wore the number 9 there, and everyone knows how...
That's a big shirt.
It is, and luckily the first season I scored 20 goals, and the second season a certain Kevin Keegan came along, and I had a season with him, and I learnt a lot off him, and I scored 22, so I was top scorer for 2 seasons.
That's an achievement.
And that was a thrill.
Yeah,
they're so fanatical up there. In fact, when I left, I didn't really want to leave at the time, but there was a couple of clubs in for me, and I decided to move to Sheffield Wednesday. But I had 1,000 letters off supporters when I left saying how sorry they was to see me go, and in fact I replied to every one of them. So that was a nice touch.
Oh, that makes you feel wanted, doesn't it?
It does.
You actually played for City too, didn't you?
I did, yes. I spent 2 seasons there.
How was that?
Oh, it was a fantastic club, and I'm sure it still is now. Unfortunately, we all know they're having a few problems at the moment. But now with Joe Royle there, hopefully he can turn things around. I
mean, they're too big to go down, aren't they?
Well, yes, you would think that with the support and everything. But it happened to Notts Forest. Everybody kept saying they were too good to go down, and just look what happened to them. Sometimes they're better off going down, especially from the Premier into the first, start again and come back stronger. But in City circumstances, it's different.
I mean, City could be having their derby match, could be Macclesfield.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Which would, could be extraordinary. Your nickname was, you had many, didn't you? But the best known one is Imre Banana, isn't it?
That's right. When I was playing for Manchester City, they nicknamed me Imre Banana. In fact, it became such a craze. It was an inflatable craze that they were bringing the bananas and all sorts. And in fact, it spread to other clubs throughout the country. I think Norwich had canaries. In fact, it got that big that they had to stop it because
people couldn't see.
They couldn't see. That's correct. And unfortunately, it died out. But it was such a big craze.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me today, and I wish you a long and happy career in management.
Thanks very much.
in Glasgow at Ibrox Stadium talking to TV personality and Scottish international footballer Ali McCoist. So Ali, Scotland qualifying for the World Cup again, how does that feel?
Oh, it's really out of this world, because I think that's the 6th out of the 7 attempts we've actually qualified for the finals. And of course, with it being in France, I think it's safe to say we'll take a fair support over us. I mean, we were over in Italy in 1990 and it was fantastic. Missed out in America, USA 94, but we've made up for it and we're looking forward to France in 98. It's a real bonus for us.
So what number is this for Ali McCoist?
Well, hopefully I'll get there. I mean, it's going to be quite
tough.
Of
course you will.
I don't know. I hope so, because it's going to be quite tough. I mean, Gallagher's on fire just now and Jury's playing out his skin. Darren Jackson will come back in, but I want to be involved. I've got to be involved. It'd be great. And it'd be my second one because I was over in Italy in 1990. So fingers crossed, but I mean, there's a lot of football to be played between now and then.
If you don't go as a player, I take it you would go as part of the media, though, wouldn't you?
I'd go as a fan, I think.
No, you've got.
And I'd go as a fan of a better time, because all my family and my mates went over to Italy in 1990 and they had an absolute ball. I think the football got in the way of the good time they were having, actually, to be honest with you. I'll definitely be over, one way or another. If I'm not in the squad, hopefully I'll be in the squad. If not, I'll definitely be over travelling some.
Now, for most neutrals, Ali, they see Scotland get to the World Cup and they say, fantastic achievement, they've only got 4 million people or whatever. But the Scottish fans, they catch hold of them when they head off to the World Cup and they always think you're going to win it. Does that put a lot of pressure on you?
I think it's calmed down a little bit, to be fair. I mean, I don't think we'll all go over think we're going to win it. I mean, 3rd and 4th playoff would have been a reasonable achievement for us in the last couple of years. Oh no, I mean, the days of the 1978 where Ali's Tartan Army and we're all going to Argentina to win it are long gone. We're realistic now. It's a bonus for us qualifying because, as you say, we're a small country, and in terms of qualification, our record must be up there with the best in the world, really. And that's the main thing, getting there. And once we go over there, hopefully the boys will do well. And the lads and the fans have a good time and enjoy themselves. And that's the most important thing. As I say, it's in France, it's not too far away. And I would imagine they'll be scrambling for tickets already. But just hope I've got a couple booked.
Now, I apologise for raising this, but you're past 30 now, Ali, aren't you? So you get the extra 9 now. You're warhorse, or you're a veteran now, aren't you?
Veteran? You become a veteran at 32, I'm told.
Does that bother you?
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. I mean, it can't go on forever. I'm enjoying it. I really am enjoying it. When I signed here the best part of 15 years ago, if somebody said I'd still be kicking a ball at 35, and I'm involved with guys like Loudrop and Gascoigne and people like that, I would never have believed them. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's actually the older you get, the more you appreciate it. And I certainly appreciate every day coming in, not just playing, but coming in to train. And it's magic. I'll go on for as long as I can, because the playing side of things is definitely the best. I mean, you talk to guys, I speak to guys all the time, boys that I used to play with, who are now in the management and coaching side of things, and they genuinely say to you, you've got to play for as long as you can, because the playing side is the best of things. So I've got another 4 or 5 left in me, I think.
Have you given any thought to what you'll do, though?
That's games, not years.
Are you going to stay in the game? Because you could be a telepundit now. Could you do Question of Sport and all that?
I enjoy the Question of Sport. That's great fun with John Parrott. I'm really enjoying that. We have a good laugh on that. And the television side of things is enjoyable as well, because I've done the pundit and the panel and things like that, and co-commentated in a few games. And that's something that I do enjoy doing. It's something that I'd look at when I stop playing. But I'm too scared to think about it, because I want to play for as long as I can at the moment.
But you played at some of the biggest clubs going, and here you're at Rangers. You look round this stadium, it's
amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
When it does all come to a finish, will there be one memory you'll take away and say, well, if I did nothing else in football, put me down for that one?
Whoa, that's a bit unfair. But I would probably say we hadn't won the championship for years here, and Big Terry Butcher scored a header at Pittodrie, I think from a Davy Cooper cross, and that clinched the championship for us. And I think the scenes that day, and all the way down the team bus from Aberdeen to here, will probably stay with me as long as I live, because as I say, we'd been in the doldrums a little bit. We hadn't won the championship, and Graham Souness came, he signed Big Woodsy, Terry Butcher, and we won it, and with some good players, and probably the atmosphere that day will be with me for a long, long time.
Any regrets?
Regrets, small ones, but the good times far outweigh the bad times. I'm disappointed I never went to the World Cup in Mexico in '86, but I mean, I don't bear grudges. I'm just one of these things. 1 or 2 regrets, obviously. What else was there? Getting beaten in the cup final at Dundee United was a big blow for us, because we were going for another treble then.
They beat us 1-0. But as I say, I've had far too many good teams to think about the regrets. One or two disappointments, but the good teams far outweigh the bad teams.
Well, Ali, I for one am convinced you will be in France as a player in
Thank you.
'98. But great talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Ali McCoist.
And I hope so. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
You know, I think that, you know, small town-itis is possibly getting to all of you.
What I consider myself is a business person in a male-dominated environment.
The equation of Kiev is very interesting because the record in that group they won, which was a very, very tough group, was excellent.
I'm still with Stockport and Oldham fans, and we're talking referees. I believe you've got some more to say.
Yes, whenever there's a dodgy game, as I always say, perm anyone from 4. Now, if I can give another example, last year, the Football League was in horror. The shock of Stockport County getting to the semi-finals of the League Cup. Now, they probably said, don't worry, it's 2 legs. Now, we went to a forum just before the first leg, and we were all buzzing, and Dave Jones, the manager, says there's one problem. Ellery is refereeing the first leg, and it just went completely silent. But he then said, don't worry, because the second leg at Middlesbrough is going to be refereed by Uriah Rennie, who is the best referee in this country, right? So on the night of the second leg, we goes up to Middlesbrough. As the teams come out, all we're looking for really is Uriah Rennie. And sure enough, he come out, so we're all right with him. And one of the lads said, where's Rennie going? He went off the pitch.
He was the 4th official.
He was the 4th official on the night. And who was given the chance to ref it? Jones of Loughborough again. And he said, did enough. End of story.
I mean, those are very strong words that you've said. I mean, do you think that the standard of refereeing in this country is high enough overall?
No, it's pretty poor actually. It's very poor.
I mean, what do you think they should do? Do you think they should make refereeing professional?
Well, we've got a shortage of referees. Are they all nervous after this Portsmouth incident? Lines, you know, why have we got
these dodgy games? Yeah.
Rankings,
exactly.
Referees. Okay, we may well have. We've got all the different divisions, yeah. But wouldn't it be a good thing, you know, if all referees had to reach a certain standard, and there was an agreed standard that they had to meet, and
I mean, what do you think
right
about
across
this guy
all
being
divisions,
suspended?
might it not help certain players in lower divisions? You know, and the quality of football that you're watching and raising it, because it doesn't matter, okay, you may pay that little bit less when you move down the divisions, but you're still going out there paying.
I mean, today they announced today, as we were coming over here, I heard that FIFA have actually asked the UK to introduce their technology for goal line decisions. That is going to be, testing is going to be introduced in this country for that. What do you think about that?
Well, that makes a great deal of sense to me. If the ball's crossed the line, it's a goal.
Yeah.
And just because the guy with the flags missed it, it shouldn't count against you. Like when we were in the semi-final, we had a perfectly good goal disallowed because the linesman missed the fact it had gone over the line.
Well, the referee was the best placed man in the ground to see that. That was Joe Worrell, and I believe Joe Worrell is a season ticket holder at Manchester United, and yet he got put in charge of that.
I have to say, I do think all of you are a bit paranoid about referees. I do think that there is a certain element of paranoia setting in.
Well, you ought to watch a small town team, because I don't necessarily think that referees are corrupt. What I think, though, is that they're over-influenced by the big town clubs, the big city clubs.
It's like big clubitis. They're frightened of the managers.
Every time we've played Manchester United, for example, and it's been a close game, I'll guarantee you that there has been a really controversial incident, and I'll tell you which club it went against and which club it went for. Every time. I can list them off. In 1974, maybe it was 1974-5 season. We lost 3-2 at Old Trafford, and the winning goal was scored by Lou Macari with his hand. Yeah. TV proved it. We lost the game.
Well, I mean,
when we lost the semi-final replay in 1990, as Chris just said, we scored a perfectly good goal. It wasn't allowed. The referee, who was the best placed person in the ground to see it, didn't give it, and it was clearly over the line. Every time we play them and it's close, we've lost on a dodgy decision. Even the one you mentioned earlier, the semi-final at Wembley, where we've gone on, the club's gone downhill ever since. Mark Hughes scored what seemed like an amazing goal in last minute of extra time. if you look at the replays, United had 2 players offside when that goal went in. Nobody flagged for that. Yeah. But it's all.
I don't seem to remember them being offside.
I think it's influence rather than corruption, personally.
It did happen again.
I don't
Well,
believe.
there was like another one over the line against Chesterfield last season when the player was at Middlesbrough. Yeah, Middlesbrough.
Common denominator,
Yeah.
Brian Robson.
Yeah, another United player. They do seem to like.
Well, I have to
Bend
say, I
towards
am a
United.
United fan, and I do think you're being a tad paranoid here
Is it
about the whole thing. Yeah.
The suspicion that a lower club should not.
I don't think that there is a suspicion. I mean, Wimbledon have survived. You've gone up. You know, I think that small townitis is possibly getting to all of you as much as.
I don't believe a made in this. I really don't believe it.
Everything,
You've got
not,
to see
not
the
with the
games,
help of
Mary.
everything, do they?
I mean, Barnsley are not
They've
in the
confounded
Barnsley, Bolton, Crystal Palace, the clubs that are in danger of going down this season are not there because of the referees. They're there because they've played crap football and they've let in more goals than anybody else and lost more games. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Might be a penalty incident in the FA Cup that went against that statement a little bit.
Exactly.
In the first leg.
but I mean, that was they won. They won. I mean, justice was served. They won. They've gone through. Who cares?
Can I ask you a question, Mary? Being as you support that club, the last penalty given against your team at Old Trafford, where's the linesman now? Where's the linesman now? The linesman was sacked. Do you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Well,
but it has to be. I would like to point something out that at West Ham, no penalties have been given for 39 months, which is 10 months longer than at Old Trafford. At Newcastle, they haven't had a penalty given against the home team for over 2 years. It is not just at Manchester United. And on that note, we're going to wrap this one
We said
up.
earlier on we'd get you shouting, and we have done. You fell for it.
She's football's sexiest boss, and here at Birmingham City she definitely wears the trousers. She's tough, glamorous, and is the first female managing director of a football club. The Brady bunch around here are definitely no joke. Karren, you've been involved in advertising, radio and newspapers. Why the move over to football?
Well, David Sullivan and David Gold, who own Sport Newspapers, where I was working my job previous to coming here, they had decided that they wanted to diversify and buy a football club. So we looked and we found Birmingham City, and I just made the natural sort of move across.
Did you have an interest in football before that?
Well, my father is an Arsenal supporter, so he used to take me to Arsenal quite a lot from an early age. But nothing that I think really would have made me believe that I'd be doing this some years later.
As a managing director, have you found the role harder than you expected it to be?
All businesses are reasonably hard to run, but Birmingham City was in a particularly bad shape when we took over. It was on the verge of collapse, it was in liquidation, and it took some long hours and some hard work to turn it round. 4.5 years later, we've had our best financial results in modern history under my management. We've floated on the alternative investment market, valuing the club at £25 million, raising £7.5 million worth of new money that will continue to allow us to improve the squad and to continue the development. So we've come a long way in a short time, but clearly we've got a long way to go. Our aspiration is Premier League, really.
Your season now is going quite well. Is it all going to plan?
If it all went to plan, we'd win over again. I think it's important that we achieve something this year. We've put an awful lot of money into players and millions of pounds, and we have promised the supporters that we'll achieve something for them, and we have the right setup. We think we're buying the right type of players, and really on paper our team is as good as any of the other big clubs, so we should be able to get something this year, and we'll be very disappointed if we don't achieve at least a playoff position.
Karren, I read an extract from, I think it was your first book, The Diaries, And in that you said, you were sort of fairly bored with being asked the question, what's it like being a woman in a man's world? I'm not actually going to ask you that question, but do you still stand by that? Because you seem to say that it wasn't as bad as everyone made out.
It wasn't. I mean, I don't consider myself a woman in a man's world. What I consider myself is a business person in a male-dominated environment. And I do my job to the best of my ability. I don't look over my shoulder too much. I don't worry too much about my ego, because I think if I did, most times I wouldn't have one. And I think I just get on with my job. There has been its ups and downs.
Karren, you had that situation with Notts County where they wouldn't let you into the all-male boardroom. How did you cope with that?
I think that's probably the only situation of that type, and I cope with that as I think I would cope with most situations. I think the bigger club you go to, the better they are. And certainly the times I've been to Manchester United, I've been treated extremely well. And sometimes when you go down to the lower clubs, they still have this antiquated system of no women in the boardroom. But they seem in the main to, in fact, the only one who has been slightly unpleasant about it was not.
But you've made your mark there, so...
Yeah, I mean, I think the situation hasn't arisen in the past whereby directors who are women, I mean, it's directors only, and then there's the question of women directors. So I think it will happen more and more.
Now, your husband used to play for Birmingham City, and then you sold him. Was there any reason why you chose to sell him? Was it anything to do with the relationship?
It was nothing to do with me. He was sold first by Barry Fry to Stoke, then he was bought back by Barry Fry, and he was sold again by Trevor Francis. Sadly, we sold Paul for Mike Newell, and obviously Paul's gone on to do some great things, and Mike Newell's left us. So, I think that each manager makes their own decision based on players, and Paul has been sold and bought on his ability, not because of his relationship with me.
Now, Karren, you let me into a little secret earlier that you actually went to school with Vinnie.
Yes, I like Vinnie very much, yeah. We went
Were
to
you
the
in the
same
same
school.
class?
No, we weren't, no. Vinnie's a lot older than me. Not really, but no, I knew his sister. I think she was in my class, but he was a couple of years older than me. We went to the same school.
Do you remember him at all at the school?
Yeah, School of Hard Knocks, I think it was called.
So did he ever get up to any mischief that you know about?
Not that I can say. None at all. He's a model student.
Karren, thank you very much.
My pleasure, thanks.
Hi, I'm Mary Parkinson, and today I'm at the Cliff, Manchester United's training ground, and I'm talking Europe with Alex Ferguson. Alex, Europe. United have done really well so far to qualify for the knockout stages. Is there anyone that you're hoping to meet in the final, or anyone you'd particularly like to avoid in the next stages?
Well, why'd you say we're in the final? Hope it's as easy as that. The equation of Kiev is very interesting, because the record in that group they were in was a very, very tough group, was excellent. But they're coming out their winter break, and sometimes they find it difficult to handle that. But if they maintain their form, they're going to be a big threat to everyone. So you're hoping that possibly they will be paired with Juventus, something like that, and that helps you to sort of have an idea how you'll be placed in the rest of the tournament if you get through your quarter-finals.
And then on to the semi-finals, and hopefully this year they're looking at the finals either in Amsterdam or Barcelona. But Amsterdam only has a capacity of 55,000. Do you think that's a big enough stadium to hold a European Cup final? United could fill it with 55,000.
Yes, I know they could, and I don't think they take the decision based on the potential of one club support. I think that it's political. I think that it's a spread about basis, and the fact that with Ajax and the new stadium has got something to do with it, I'm sure.
And are you looking to strengthen the squad? I mean, your one criticism of the team that we have to, if there can be a criticism of this team, is that sometimes they lack it's almost the ferocity of the 93-94 team, who would go out and, you know, as you say, the Ince, the Hughes, they were ferocious footballers. And are you looking to strengthen the team without Keane?
I think Keane is an interesting one that we have probably been saying, well, if something happened to Nicky Butt, we'd have a problem.
We'd struggle, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we'd have a problem. So we are looking at that area of the team. This is why one of the reasons why I didn't go in immediately for Salas. I want to have another look at that situation, and possibly in terms of the overall spread of the squad, probably covering for Roy Keane would be more important.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's it for tonight. See you next week on the Vinnie Jones Show. Loads more action, loads more football.